Hello everyone, and welcome back to another workshop on the HackPST YouTube channel. I'm Michael Chow, and today I'll be giving you a basic overview of APIs, or Application Programming Interfaces. Together, we'll learn about what APIs are, where they're used, what we can do with them, and even take advantage of an online API to fetch and collate data using Node.js. So, what is an API? An API is an application programming interface, or to put it in simpler terms, a program which helps facilitate and define interactions between multiple pieces of software. It allows the programmer to more easily abstract and develop their programs in an efficient and featureful manner, and helps them simplify the process of fetching and interacting with data on a larger scale. They can be used on websites, on local software, or even to make a remote tool appear local through the use of RPCs or remote procedural calls. APIs act as the middleman between a database system and an application or end user. They make it easier to interact with and manipulate data in a database or remotely in an abstract and user-friendly manner. For example, an API might be used by a payment processor to facilitate transactions between a merchant and customers and allow the merchant to set up a very simple way for customers to directly pay them through the payment processor. Another example might be a website like Facebook, where Facebook engineers combine multiple APIs to fetch data from all over their website and databases to combine them into a single user-friendly, beautiful homepage. Over 10,000 APIs are publicly available for anyone to use today, with many more private ones being developed as an integral part of websites and apps, such as PayPal, Facebook, Google, and more. Today, we'll be walking through how to use a REST API in Node.js. REST APIs use representational state transfer to use and interact with data. REST APIs use get, post, put, or delete web requests from the client to a server to trigger actions such as deleting, creating, modifying, or returning data. The most common languages used to develop REST APIs are Node.js, Python, Ruby, and Go, with Node.js still being the most popular language of choice for simple, powerful web APIs today. Node.js offers several options with which to create APIs. However, the most popular one right now is to create a simple web server with Express. By making a simple web server with Express, we can make the Node.js program accept web requests from a remote entity and act on them. Usually, Express is used to create websites and other similar tools. However, by making it accept get, post, put, and delete requests, we can turn the server into a scalable yet powerful API. Today, we will be walking you through how to create an API. However, we'll walk you through how to use a simple API that's offered online, the Online Movie Database. We'll use Node.js to help you take advantage of an existing API and show you just how powerful an API can be while interacting with and fetching data from the internet. To start with our API example, we'll need to get our basic requirements installed. To develop with Node.js, we'll need to install two programs, the Node.js runtime and a code editor, in this case, Visual Studio Code. The Node.js runtime provides all the tools we'll need to run Node.js programs out of the box, install packages, and more. And Visual Studio Code is one of the most popular code editors out there today. At the time of this video, the most current version of Node.js is 14.5.0, and the latest version of Visual Studio Code is 1.47. We'll first go to nodejs.org and download the installer for the runtime. Click the button on the right to install the latest version of the runtime, or the left button to install the latest long-term support version. Because I already have Node.js installed on my machine, I won't be walking you through the install. However, which version you installed doesn't matter, as we won't be diving into any of the features Node.js has added in the newer versions. When you're done installing Node.js using the provided executable, verify that you have it installed and in your path by opening a command prompt window and typing in node-v. If the command doesn't work, add your Node installation directory to your environment variables and try again. In this case, you can see that I have version 13.12.0 installed on my local machine. Once I have Node.js installed and added to your path, we'll go install Visual Studio Code. Navigate to the VS Code website to download the latest installer binary and use that to install the editor. Since I already have it installed, again, I will not be walking you through the installation process. However, when you're done, it should appear on your desktop as a program that you can open. I am running the Insiders version as I use some new features of the editor, but for our purposes, the normal version, which uses a blue logo, will work perfectly fine as well. Once we have both installed, let's begin by going to the API page we'll be using and applying for an API key. Today, we'll be using the OMBd database, an online API that provides information and resources on thousands of movies released over the last few decades. Navigate to OMDBAPI.com and click API key, the last option on the top bar. Once you're on the API key request page, we'll fill out this information with our email, first and last name, and a short description of what we're doing today. For the use case, I'm just going to put a simple program to explore how APIs work. Once that's filled out and submitted, the website will provision you an API key to use that is limited to 1,000 requests a day. Please visit your email address and verify your email, and the website will email you your API key. Please copy this down and store it somewhere safe, as we'll need it later. Now, we'll get started with teaching you how to write a simple program in Node.js to retrieve data from the OMDb API. Open up Visual Studio Code and create a new file called OMDb.js in the directory of your choice. You'll want to come up to the Terminal tab and click New Terminal, and then navigate to the correct directory. In my case, it's in Google Drive. And now that we're in the right directory, when we do the ls command, we can clearly see the omdb.js file right there for execution when we need to. Now, let's get started with the actual code itself. First, we'll define the node.fetch module. The node.fetch module is a module that allows us to perform web requests in a simple and asynchronous manner. Next, we'll define our API key. Here, the API key is blurred due to me not wanting to put the API key out in the open. However, you can feel free to put your own API key where mine is placed in the string. After this, we'll define the readLine module, which allows us to take input from the end user that we can use to make our search. we'll pass two arguments into the readline module, the process.standardIn and process.standardout, which will allow the readline module to accept input from the console as well as print output to the console in response. Next, we'll define the question that we want to ask the user, namely, what movie they would like to search for. To do this, we'll use the question function in the readline module. And here, we can pass the results to a callback with the name variable. In here, we can do anything we want using the user input, which has been passed to the name variable using a callback. Here, we'll replace all the spaces in the user input with the string %20, which will allow us to quickly attach it to the end of any URL without it throwing any errors at us. To do this, we use regular expressions, which will allow us to quickly replace all instances of spaces with %20. Next, we'll inform the user that we've received their input and that we're going to be performing a search using it. Notice how instead of using double quotes here, I use backticks. Using backticks allows me to put this into the string. This is called a template string, and this allows me to cleanly insert variables into the middle of the string without ending the string, inserting a plus, and starting another string. Next, we'll do the actual web request using the fetch module we defined up above. We'll paste the base URL for the API key from the documentation we got, which should be this. And I'll insert our API key variable and our name variable. This function right here will perform a successful web request to the OMDb API with the search query of the user's input. We'll then take the results of that and turn it into a JSON document. This will allow us to cleanly read what the output is giving us. Then, we'll pass the JSON into yet another callback, where we'll print it out to the console. This function right here will successfully make the web request, turn the results into a JSON format, and then log the resulting JSON document to the console. Now, let's run this program and see what we get. But first, we need to install the Node.fetch module. We can accomplish that by typing npm install Node.fetch into the console. It should quickly install for you, and you should see output like this. If you're not getting output that looks like this, that says added one package, you are encountering some kind of error. You should try and look into the error using Stack Overflow or something else. However, here we've successfully installed this package, so now we can run the OMDb module. Let's perform a search for The Hunger Games. Here, we can see that we've successfully replaced all spaces in the string we input with the string %20. We've then successfully passed it into the fetch module and performed a search using it, which is what this input is. We can see that Omdb returned all results with the Hunger Games inside the title, including the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and the 2 Mockingjay movies. We also see a number of other movies returned. However, these are probably results that we don't need to care about right now. Now, this result isn't very user-friendly at all, so we should probably take some time to make it more user-friendly and look a little bit better. To do that, let's replace this console.log with something that will allow us to display the results cleanly and efficiently. Let's use a for loop for that purpose. Now, the variable with the search results is called search, so that's what we'll loop through. And then we'll log each result as it gets looped through. Now, we want to display the title, the year, and the IMDb ID for the end user to be able to cleanly see their results and maybe perform more searches using the IMDb ID that comes out. To do that, we'll want to print out the title first, then the year, then the ID. With this code, we should successfully be able to see all the results in a clean, easy-to-read format. However, there's one last thing we need to do here. We need to close the readline module so that we can cleanly exit out of the program when this is done executing. To do that, we'll put one line right here, readline.close. Now, we can run this program again with another search, such as Harry Potter. And we can see that we've printed all of our results cleanly and efficiently to the console. We can see that the first result that was found was Deathly Hallows Part 2, which was released in 2011 with an IMDb ID of TT1201607. We can use this later to be able to directly fetch results with that ID. Going back to the documentation, let's look at what we have to do to fetch results with a specific ID. It looks like to search for a specific ID, we can use the I parameter, which is an optional parameter that we can pass in instead of the S parameter. Let's ask for the user's input again as to which one of the results they would like us to fetch more details on. Now, the input will be a string. However, we can cleanly turn the input back into a number using a cast. And assuming that the user isn't putting in something other than a number, we can use that to cleanly do another search using the correct ID that they put in. So instead of using the S, we'll we'll put in I, and then we'll put in json.search number -1, because indexes start at 0, .imdb ID. And first, we'll just print this out to the console so we can see what kind of data the results contain. Let's run this again and see what we get. Now, this didn't happen like we wanted it to, but we can probably take this and put it in here to make it run successfully. Let's run this again and see. So I made a mistake there, and we should have put the read line into the last promise callback instead of down here like we had originally put it. Putting the next read line into the end of the for loop right here will allow us to have this execute after the for loop happens. Now, we can execute this program again and see what it gives us. Let's do a search for Harry Potter. We can see that we get all these results, but we want more details on, for example, the second one, Sorcerer's Stone. We'll put the number 2. And we'll get all the results regarding Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, including the name, the year, the rating, the release date, and a lot more information. We can then perform more functions on this information, including formatting it well, such as potentially displaying the ratings or displaying the actors that this features. But for now, we can just leave it like this. Thanks everyone for watching this guide on how to fetch data from an API, as well as what an API is. And please take some time to try this on your own and see what you can get. APIs are very powerful tools and ones that you can do a lot with. This is just one of the many things you can do with them, and there's a ton more that you can explore with your own time.